Hello, human. There's a very common obsession around kefir, the idea that the jar must be washed every single day, or everything will go wrong. And like with many kefir topics, the truth is much simpler, and much less extreme. Yes, the jar can be washed daily, but not washing it every day is not bad either. Washing the jar daily does not harm the grains, and does not ruin the kefir, as long as it's done normally, with water and soap, and well rinsed. But it's not mandatory. Kefir is not a surgical procedure, and it's not a sterile culture. Kefir grains live in an acidic environment. That acidity already inhibits many unwanted microorganisms. That's why kefir has existed for centuries, without sterilized jars, or obsessive cleaning routines. The mistake appears when people confuse cleanliness with sterility. The jar doesn't need to be sterile. It needs to be reasonably clean. No soap residue, no grease buildup, no visible leftovers. Washing the jar daily can be a personal preference, a matter of order or convenience. It's not a biological rule. Kefir doesn't work better just because the jar is washed every 24 hours. Leaving otherwise creates unnecessary stress and rituals that don't actually improve the process. Kefir thrives on understanding, not obsession. Now, let's talk about the other extreme. Not washing the jar every day is not an automatic problem either. Many people use the same jar for several cycles and wash it once a week, and the kefir works perfectly fine, as long as the jar doesn't have excessive residue buildup, visible mold, or obvious external dirt. There is no biological reason to wash it daily. The acidic environment and constant fermentation already keep things relatively stable. Here's a key point most people miss. The kefir grains don't live on the jar. They live in the milk. The jar is just a container. It's not the home of the colony. That's why changing the jar or washing it doesn't reset the process and doesn't harm the grains. What can cause problems is this: leaving soap residue, using heavily scented detergents, not rinsing the jar properly. That introduces chemicals that can interfere with fermentation. The issue is how the jar is washed, not how often. Some people prefer washing the jar less often to keep their routines simple. That's fine. Others wash it daily for personal hygiene. That's also fine. Neither practice is wrong, as long as common sense is involved. Kefir doesn't demand extremes. It works best with understanding, not rigid rules. The real problem starts when washing the jar turns into a rigid rule. When people say if you don't wash it every day, it's wrong. Or if you wash it every day, you're damaging it. Neither of those statements is true. Kefir is flexible. It's designed to work in normal home conditions, not in sterile laboratories. That's exactly why it has survived for generations, without strict manuals or obsessive rules. You can wash the jar every day. You can wash it once a week. What actually matters is this: that it's clean, well rinsed, and free of chemical residues. Once you understand that, the process becomes calmer. You stop feeling like one small mistake will kill the colony. You start fitting kefir into your real life. Instead of organizing your life around kefir, fewer invented rules, more understanding of how the process actually works. Kefir doesn't fail because you didn't wash a jar one extra day. It fails because of repeated poor decisions, not because of reasonable flexibility. Follow me. I am Kefir Fermenting.